Hello everybody, it's Dr. Stuart A. Swerdlow.
And plain old Janet Diane Moya Swerdlow.
I'm sorry to hear that you're just plain old.
Yeah, plain and old.
You're just
That's
plain
me.
old.
Yep, there you go.
But actually I have to tell everybody you're a dame. So you're dame, your old dame, Janet Swerdlow, Moya
You're
Swerdlow.
old Dr. Swerdlow.
Anyway, back to me. And this is the Expansions News Podcast for the very last week of March 2018. And I have to tell you all, I have absolutely no news prepared because I just returned last night from Boston, Atlanta, and Houston. And I've been gone and I haven't had any chance to do anything else but do my work where I was. As you know, I filmed my TV show, which was very successful with Laura Eisenhower and Romola D. And it was excellent. We have thousands of people asking for a return show, which we'll be doing in April. And then in Houston, I had very fascinating meetings with things I cannot discuss right now, but perhaps in the future I'll be able to discuss it with you. And also, just as a little teaser, I was introduced to a NASA astronuclear physicist with many deep inside information, which eventually I will bring to you.
So you're going to share any of that in your our September class?
On my September or our? Or yours?
Our. Your part of
there
our
was
September class.
Back in the late 1960s, when you were, also still an old Janet. And back then, there was a movie called Yours, Mine, and Ours. Did you ever see that movie? With Lucille Ball, and
I know the name of it, but
she was a divorcee with children, and the husband was a divorcee, and then they came and had more children. It was Yours, Mine, and Ours. Yeah. So is the September class Yours, Mine, or Ours?
Well, it's ours with your part and my part.
Okay, mostly my part. But yeah, it will. And to even add a greater teaser, in September, I have been studying, and I'm still studying, very, very ancient, and I'm talking thousands of year old information about angelic frequencies, their names, how to invoke them, how to use them, and actually change your life. It is like the most incredible information I've ever experienced in my life, and it goes into many higher layers, even more than I've ever discussed in any class anywhere. And I really will put it all together and teach those people who come in September.
September is going to be, again, another September Spectacular.
In fact, I hope I can get it all together by then. It's almost, 5.5 months away, right?
Well, you have time. All right.
But here it is spring, and it's still freezing outside.
It is. It's below freezing every day on the thermometer when we wake up in the mornings.
Yes. Those of us who do wake up in the morning.
Yeah. Well, I do have some news, just keeping you up to date on what's going on. And as we always tell you, we report the trends so you can make choices and decisions for yourself. We're not on anybody's side. We're not for or against. We do our best to be neutral and explain to you what's happening out there so you can make a choice whether you want to be involved in it or not. So the first thing I want to start off with, which is of course all over the news, is the March for Our Lives rally that was recently held in Washington, D.C.
It was actually global.
Yes, as I was going to add, that there were actually 800 events supposedly across the cities around the world.
That's ridiculous, 800
Now,
events.
Emma Gonzalez, who was the Parkland student who gave a speech in Fort Lauderdale 3 days after the Valentine shooting, is the one that they're saying is galvanizing the student movement, and who's the one who wanted to pay tribute to all her friends that would never happen again. The interesting thing about Emma, I will tell you, is she always appears with a shaven head. So that is impressing the youth with androgyny. She's not male and she's not female.
That's alien, isn't it?
Very alien looking. Yes, absolutely. So again, you want to look for the trends that are going on out there, and you want to look for the imprinting. So those are the things that I want to talk to you about. They also talked about, when she spoke at the nation's capital, that there was a painful hush marking the little over 6 minutes it took for the gunman to, quote, snuff out 17 lives.
It was only 6 minutes.
6 minutes, that's what they claim. Now, a snuff film is a pornographic film where actual murders or suicides are taking place.
Right.
And snuff is not really a word that's used anymore, but it is now.
Isn't that also in old days it was like something you put?
Chewing tobacco. They called it snuff.
Didn't they put it in their nose?
I don't know if they put it in their nose, but they did call chewing tobacco
That's
snuff.
what I called it. They would snuff, snuff.
Sniff. I don't know, but I know that they did use that term for chewing tobacco. I didn't look it up, so I can't say if it went in the nose. But yes, that I know it was chewing tobacco. Point being is they're talking about snuffing out lives. So think about these terms because they put them in places where it sticks somewhere in your memory, and I've got a couple more of those I'm going to tell you as we move along. Anyway, the first student speaker, Cameron Kasky, his opening words were, "Welcome to the revolution." Now, we've talked about a civil war.
Yes.
And so, in my opinion, welcome to the revolution is kind of a terminology out there that's not promoting peace, it's a revolution. I don't care what they say.
There is a revolution, I know it.
He says that my generation has spent our entire lives seeing mass shooting after mass shooting, and that needs to end now. So, of course, the goal is to change gun laws.
Can I tell you something?
What?
I saw a placard on the news of a student, I think it was in Washington, held up, and it said, "The scariest thing I should experience in school is my grades." And I thought, that's not good either. Why should your grades be scary? That means you're a stupid idiot.
Well, point being is they're imprinting you with a lot of things to make you feel that way, and I agree. If you're in school and you're learning, you shouldn't be afraid of your grades. You shouldn't be afraid of anything. Then there was a woman, I don't even know if I have her name here, but she was a Parkland survivor. Yes, here it is. Nicholas, no, that's one that was killed. Not sure, I don't have her name apparently, but anyway, I'm sure you've heard of her. She threw up on stage.
I saw that video.
Before leading the crowd an emotional happy birthday for her friend who was 17.
Okay, who died, right?
Yes.
So here's my question. Why would you wish happy birthday to a dead person?
Well,
that's really sick.
Well, because it would have been this friend's birthday. Now, it was interesting to me because remember, we're looking at the trends here. Her friend was 17, which is 1 plus 7 is an 8.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, there were 17 children killed. 1 plus 7 is an 8.
Good question. Did she say why she threw up?
No. She was shot, and the implication was because it brought up such traumatic memories. My feeling is that did she really throw up? That would be my question, or was it an act?
No, I saw the video.
It looked real, but if actors and actresses can make things look very real. There were 800,000 people that went to D.C. for the march. Another 8.
Wow, that's more than the inauguration, according to CNN.
With another 800 being held in various cities. So 8 is all through this. The 17 killed. The ages of these people, the 800,000, the 800, so 8 is everywhere.
May I say something?
Yes.
As we know, 8 is an oversoul number.
Right.
It should be in silver. But the infinity symbol in other colors represents an altar.
Or a looping.
Yes. So we have to make. This is obviously a reversal of the true oversoul energy.
To bring it into the earth-based matter. Now, one of the speakers was Martin Luther King's granddaughter, Yolanda Renee King. She is 9 years old, and she said, quote, "My grandfather had a dream that his 4 little children will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream," this is a 9-year-old, "I have a dream that is enough, and this should be a gun-free world." Then she says the word period. Now, I've been reporting to you in the news. There's been a lot of news about a woman's period and menstruation. So the word period in here, again, it's one of these subliminals that they're putting into your mind. And this is a 9-year-old girl.
So obviously she didn't write her own script.
Well, they want you to say, because the next person I'm going to tell you about it, her name is Naomi Wadler. She's 11 years old. So we have a 9-year-old and 11-year-old. We have 9/11. So now we have an 11-year-old girl, and they claim she's speaking out about black girls, but yet we still have Martin Luther King's granddaughter. Isn't she black?
Yes.
She was 9, and she was black, but now they're saying this woman, this girl, she's not a woman, she's 11, she's saying she's the voice of black girls.
I see.
Yeah, she's black. So, as I said, what about Martin Luther King's granddaughter that just spoke? She said, "I'm here to acknowledge and represent the African American girls whose stories don't make the front page of every national newspaper."
That could be true of every color,
Exactly.
not just black girls.
Exactly. And then it says on March 14th, now they're calling her a young leader. was a driving force behind a walkout at her elementary school as part of the national effort to draw attention to the gun violence plaguing U.S. schools. So, all the other schools, they said, walked out for 17 minutes. Her peers, at her urging, stayed out for 18 minutes because they also took into the account a minute for a black student who was murdered at an Alabama school shooting. And then, listen to this. She goes on to say in her speech, 11 years old, people have said I am too young to have these thoughts on my own. People have said I am a tool of some nameless adult.
Right.
It's not true. And then, of course, she says, my friends and I might still be 11, we might still be in elementary school, but we know. We know life isn't equal for everyone, and we know what is right and wrong. So, life isn't equal for people, not based on skin color.
Listen, she didn't write that.
Of course she didn't. But I'm explaining that they're trying to divide us according to race, and now they're dividing us from youth to older people.
This is part of the Civil War.
Yes, they say that this is a revolution. Welcome to the revolution. They're starting with the young people who don't have the history. And this particular article goes on to say that many conservatives, and I think it's a lot more than conservatives, have claimed that that children asking for gun control and taking part in the March for Our Lives are being manipulated by Democrats, their parents, and even the FBI.
It goes way beyond politics.
Of course it does. And the point being is that these 9 and 11-year-olds do not have life experience to understand the totality of what is happening in this world.
Absolutely. So, listen to me. There are 25-year-olds out there who are dumb as stumps. That 11-year-old, I'm sorry.
Or a 9-year-old. They
don't
don't
write that.
None of them are writing their things.
They are tools of adults.
That's right. They're fronts for other agendas, as you know.
And because they stated that means it's
right,
true.
It's because they have to address
State
that because
the obvious and reverse it.
Right, and enough people are asking. Now, again, here's another example. They're turning this into a race issue. It's not a race issue, but they're turning it into one. In Tennessee, they're saying that lawmakers are making it difficult for black salon professionals to make money by braiding hair by slapping fines on businesses if they hire unlicensed braiders.
Are you kidding me?
Now, I'm going to tell you...
There's nothing about braiders.
Yes. Apparently that anyone who's interested in braiding hair professionally is required to take 300 hours of classes for performing natural hair care services like braiding, locking hair, twisting, wrapping, and weaving.
That's twisted.
Yeah. But listen to me. White women get their hair braided too.
I was going to get my hair braided.
Yeah, well, you're not a white woman.
But I couldn't,
You can't because you're not a woman,
yeah.
Even though you're white. So point being is they're turning this into a race issue. If you go into any salon, people who work in salons, they'll have different names. They can touch different parts of your body.
Really?
If you do a pedicure or manicure, you can't braid hair. You can only do hands and feet.
Wait. Where do they braid the hair?
They braid it here, dear.
No, the
places. But I will tell you, if they wax different places of your body, including all the places you want to think about, including on males, they have to be licensed. That's part of the law. Whether you like it or you don't like it, that's still the law. So instead of saying we're picking on black people for braiding hair, you have to realize that this goes across the board and it is not racially oriented.
Well, they make it that way, don't they?
They're trying to put it. Now, here's another race story. Again, divide and conquer. There's a man named, did I get his name? Yeah, Frederick Joseph. And the story is titled Flight from Hell. It says, black man's hilarious fight against white woman's feet goes viral. Now, if they would have said the opposite, a white man's fight against a black woman's feet, that people would come unglued.
Well, let's hear the story.
Okay, so this man, Joseph, a black man, was riding an economy class on a United flight.
Right.
The white woman put her feet up on her food tray, bare feet. So he didn't like this, and so
I wouldn't either.
But he says, this article says, none of that is surprising because we all know white folks love to tattletale. If we would have said black folks like to tattletale, there would have been an uproar.
What a stupid thing to say.
So then it says in the article, after the white damsel in distress agreed to put one of her nasty feet on the ground, then she demanded to be compensated for the inconvenience.
Wait, the flight attendant told her to do this?
Yeah, to
or
put
this
her...
guy?
The guy first asked, I guess, but he called the flight attendant over and asked her to put her feet on the ground.
That's just standard on all airlines.
Yes.
You don't put your feet on the freaking tray.
No.
That's disgusting.
So then,
she's a pig.
But the woman then was given a $1,000 voucher, which upset.
What?
Because she complained that she couldn't put it up.
I'm going to put my feet on the tray every time I fly.
Yeah. So then apparently this man, Frederick Joseph, called United, and he said that a person of color putting the feet on a food tray would have been received differently, but the United Airlines people assured him that race was not an issue.
They probably would have pushed him out the door.
And I agree. It was not a racial thing, but they're making it a racial thing.
And also, I'm going to just say something categorically. United Airlines should be eliminated from the earth.
Well,
they're the worst airline in the universe.
Regardless, they're making a deal over a black man, white woman's feet. So it shouldn't be a racial issue. It's just not the way it's done. I don't care what race or color you are. But then it goes on because it gets a little bit more interesting. It said, if Frederick Joseph's name sounds familiar, now I never heard of this, maybe you did.
No.
It's because he's the creator of the hashtag Black Panther Challenge. Apparently, this Frederick Joseph launched a GoFundMe site to help Harlem kids see the movie Black Panther. And the campaign exceeded its $10,000 goal in just 3 days.
I'm not surprised.
But listen to this. They want to bring in these impoverished black children to see a movie.
So they could be black warriors and do magic.
And also to imprint them and program them. Why don't they raise $10,000 and more to give them jobs, to give them food,
Hello?
to give them clothes, why to see a movie? Now, to me, that's totally off the wall. And then it said that there are other celebrities that helped. I don't know, somebody named T.I., for as far as I know, that only means targeted individuals.
Yes.
But a celebrity named T.I.,
of course.
One named Viola Davis, and of course Snoop Dogg.
Yeah, where'd
they
that
accepted the challenge. And thousands of kids all over the country were able to see Black Panther, helping to blast the movie past the $1 billion mark at the office.
So it's all about money.
It's about money. It's about celebrity status. It's not about helping these children.
They could have just waited till it was on Showtime or Netflix or whatever.
Right. And like I said, if they want to raise money to help poor children, I don't care what color they are.
They're not helping poor children. They're helping their own pockets.
Exactly. So if they want to help poor children, then help poor children. Don't take them to see
a
movie.
What a scam, people.
A big scam.
Big scam.
Okay, speaking of scam, I'm going to diverge just a little before I go back to some more race stuff. But this is the Catholic Church and their benevolence,
Right.
okay? There you go. So, and Katy Perry, another celebrity.
Not her.
Katy Perry apparently purchased the in Los Feliz.
Los Feliz.
Los Feliz.
It's a neighborhood in Los Angeles.
Yes. A nunnery, a convent.
Yes.
That belonged, according to the sisters.
Oh, I saw that.
Yes, she purchased this. It's a convent of the Sisters of the Immaculate Heart of Mary.
Believe me, they're not immaculate.
Anyway, she purchased it from the Royal Catholic Archbishop of L.A., headed by Archbishop Jose Gomez. And he claims the convent is under his ownership.
Why?
Or its ownership, the archdiocese. But the sisters claim they own it. And these are old people. Like the youngest one is like 79.
Don't mess with the sisters. Didn't one of them die?
Yes, in court. Anyway, the one who's left, I think there's maybe 2 or 3 of them left.
She just stopped dead in court.
Yes.
That's not too suspicious.
Well, probably she was like 89 years old, and
So?
it was probably too much for her. So the remaining sisters, a couple of them are in nursing homes, and one is a spokesperson. I think she's 79. She's continuing the legal battle because she wants to own her own property and sell her own property so that money goes back to her order and takes care of her and the others in their old age.
But wait a second. It's still owned by the Catholic Church, not her. So she can't own it.
Well, but it becomes their money in a trust fund so that then they can be taken care of in their old age. And
The church should be doing that.
That's my point. See, the convent belongs to these sisters. It's supposed to be sold, and that money goes back to these sisters to maintain these sisters. But instead, the archbishop of this diocese says it's under his ownership, and they can't have the money. So they have petitioned the Pope. The Pope knows about it.
The diocese said, what?
That it's they own it. That the money goes to the diocese, not to the sisters.
Yeah, but that's correct, because they cannot own anything. The church owns it.
No, the convent owns it within
Right,
the
but
diocese.
that's the church. You can't give it to an individual nun or
It's
priest
not going to go to an individual nun. You're not hearing what I'm saying. It's supposed to go into a trust fund for the care of these sisters. It doesn't go to the general fund of the diocese.
My point being, it goes beyond that to the Vatican,
Yes.
where they should be taking care of them, not the diocese.
Exactly, and that's what the sisters are saying. So they petitioned the Pope, and they are not getting anything back from the Pope. So that's why it's in the U.S. court system. Because technically, remember we just talked about this last week, the church is supposed to take care of church matters, and everything else is legal. So this technically should be handled by the church.
Yeah.
But the church isn't handling it. So...
But maybe they're giving the money to the Syrian refugees.
Maybe. So the woman, this Sister Callahan, says that she will accept the decision, whatever the courts say, because the church has abandoned her and her people.
Duh.
She says it's been a horrible fight for women who have been in religious life for so long, who have done so much for our archdiocese. Diocese. It was our property. We had the deed. He said he had the authority and had a letter from Rome from his friend that was not even recorded. It was a lie. We just want to sell our own property. We live a very simple life. She says, if he can take our money, so can any archbishop or cardinal anywhere. The other sisters are watching us. Instead of standing up with us and fighting, they're hiding their money, pretending they haven't got any because they don't want this to happen to them. And they're saying, watch your back, but go on and live your life.
There you go, Catholic Church, the most evil organization on earth.
Yeah, and here are these three old ladies. It's like, why can't they just let them have their money and so they can be taken care of in their old age, right?
No, and the Pope, meanwhile, the Pope goes around, I heard he went to a tent city, and all of a sudden he gave them places to live. But these nuns who were there for 80 years, screw them.
And Katy Perry is the one trying to purchase it because she wants it for a house.
Yeah, because she needs that.
Yeah, exactly.
Because she doesn't have anything, poor thing.
Yeah. Anyway, and so back to my race stuff, now that we've vented about the Catholic Church a little bit. Somebody sent this in over the YouTube channel, so we looked it up. This is about white privilege. Now, again, I think it's a really crazy thing that's going on here. Like I said before, people are now apologizing for being white.
I'm not.
I'm not. But, of course, I'm other things as well.
I have no privilege either.
Somebody wrote in that said that nurses and midwives have to acknowledge their white privilege when treating Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander patients in Australia. So that sounds a little far out. So I looked it up, and somebody else apparently did too, because they put that on the YouTube comments that they had looked it up. And apparently that in the glossary to the codes, that the Nursing and Midwifery Board of Australia reference a decolonizing model of practice based on dialogue, communication, power sharing, and negotiation, and the acknowledgement of white privilege.
I don't like that term. I'm white, and I have had no privileges at all.
I know. It's
in fact,
worse.
The black people and Hispanic have had more privileges than me.
Right.
So where's my privilege?
And it's like we have to apologize for things that happened for our ancestors from years and years ago.
No, I'm not going to deal with that. No.
Well, anyway, it says basically that if people go to treat, if these nurses go to, and midwives go to treat the Aboriginal people or the Torres Strait Islander people, and they ask them to apologize, if they ask them to apologize for what their ancestors did to their ancestors, they have to do that.
They were not responsible for what their ancestors did.
But again, this reminds me of religious, New World religion ritual when they're going to bring in ancestral worship. There are, like the Mormons, who go in and they forgive the ancestors and do all those kind of things. So they're bringing in ancestral things, which don't belong in today's culture. It's too bad what happened to everybody. Everybody had stuff.
Everybody did.
The Catholics tortured the Welsh people. Those were
tortured
my
everybody. Catholics are horrible.
Sorry, so what are they supposed to do? Give me money for what they did to my ancestors? And I have that documented. So the same thing is, this is just crazy stuff. And then speaking of, again, the division of whites and blacks, in South Africa, which I did report on the South African Parliament's constitutional, the vote to strip the land from the white farmers without any compensation. So now it says here that the white farmers are signing a petition, more than 12,000 of them, asking Donald Trump to let white people in South Africa emigrate to the U.S.
Really?
Yep.
He probably will do it, too.
They want him to take the steps necessary to initiate an emergency immigration plan. And you have to tell me how to say that. Boers?
Boers.
To allow white Boers to come to the United States. And Boer is the term used to describe South Africans of Dutch, German, and this was interesting, and Huguenot descent.
Yeah, but now let me explain that. Because there's also English white South Africa.
Right.
It's not included there.
Right, but they're also saying that there's also a similar petition that's going to the European Union president and Angela Merkel
Oh, please, she's
and
useless.
Theresa May to allow white
Also
South Africans
useless.
into EU countries.
Why would you want to go there?
Well, because they're going to be killed if they stay where they are, if this goes through.
Be ostracized in those places too.
Yeah. Okay, now in continuation of how, again, they're dividing us. In 2020, the U.S. Census Bureau is now going to ask black people about their exact origins.
Because they know that.
They're going to have a checkbox for black or African American, and then under African American, they're going to have such things as Jamaican and Nigerian.
Wait, let me stop right there.
Mm-hmm.
So you could either be a black American or
No, just a black.
African American.
It just says black.
Uh-huh.
Or African American.
Well, is there separate categories? Is that all one category?
No, it's two. One is black, one's African American.
Well, that's what I'm asking.
And then under African American, you could say Jamaican or Nigerian. Well, of course, we all know Jamaica's in Africa, right?
No, it's not. It's in the Caribbean.
Right, that's my point.
This is stupidity.
Yes.
And who cares anyway?
And then it says that the Director of Program Operations at African Services Committee says asking for people's origins on the census is likely to run into a major hurdle because there's growing distrust in turning over personal information to the government.
My point is, what difference does it make?
That's a good question, isn't it? And this woman who's black says, I consider myself a JB, which means just black. Okay? And then it was interesting because this fed into something else. Because, a long time ago, people were called colored. So then when they went to calling them Negroes, that was considered an advancement from colored.
Listen to me. People think that calling someone a Negro is a racist.
Now.
But Negro is Spanish for black. So
Right.
it's still black.
Right. So it said that back in the 1900, that Negro was considered a modern term, which replaced the word of colored. Because like you said, we're all of color, right?
I have a color. I'm a colored person.
And it used to be that when the census was taken, a census person, I can remember when I was a child, they would come knock on your door. That's how you used to get the census taken. I don't know if you remember.
Where did you live?
I lived in Seattle. But now it says that there was a time period when a person's race was determined when the census taker would observe you. And they would determine what your race was.
I think that you are black.
And so a long time ago, now I had forgotten this, but I've heard it, and I studied this in history, that blacks used to be described in black, mulatto,
Yeah.
quadroons, and octoroons. Do you remember?
What's an octoroon?
Okay, let's see. It says the black was a person who had 3/4 or more black blood. A mulatto, we called them mulatto.
Not you.
Mulatto?
Mulatto.
Where I came from, we called them mulatto.
Because you came from crazy people.
Though they were from 3/8 to 5/8 black blood. Like they could
Seriously
determine that. A quadroon was a person who has 1/4 black blood, and an octoroon was persons who have 1/8 or any trace of black blood.
What if they were a macaroon?
I'd probably be an octoroon because I have black blood from.
I'm a macaroon.
Well, that's not on here.
Yeah.
So
I'm a candy.
Yeah. Then it says eventually they concluded that those terms weren't, useful in the census.
I know, ridiculous.
And then in 2016, it was Obama,
of course,
who signed a law to modernize the laws to replace the word Negro with African American.
Then I'm a European American.
Yeah, because the thing is a lot of blacks were.
So how come they could be African American, but there's no, European American or Australian American or thing? Why do that? Yeah. It's stupid.
Well, and then apparently Obama also switched out the term. It used to be called an Oriental. Now he changed it Asian American.
So what was it used to be?
It used to be just Oriental.
Oriental.
Yeah, but now this is what's really interesting to me. It said that in the 1990s, some of the older, quote, African Americans / I would say black, about 56,000 people checked some other race, and their choice was Negro.
It still means black in Spanish.
But my point being is that, if you're black, you're black. If you're white, you're white. You're not.
If you're macaroon, you're macaroon.
Yeah. So how can you be an African American if you never lived in Africa, or
right.
if you come from a place like Jamaica?
In fact, the black people in the United States have been in America longer than my people.
So point being is these are stupid ways of dividing people and confusing you, so you don't know where you came from or who your people
just
are.
absolutely, people, please.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
stupid.
Stupid. I have another little Catholic story as well.
A Catholic story.
Catholic story. This is about the Vatican. Apparently there were the catacombs of Priscilla of Rome. I don't know if you ever heard of that.
No.
But anyway, this was recently unveiled frescoes in that area of the catacombs under the church that apparently stretch on for miles.
Mm-hmm.
And there are frescoes in there that some people say are of women celebrating the banquet of the Eucharist and acting like priests.
Right.
Now the
'Cause they were
Vatican,
probably descended from Magdalene.
the Vaticans are saying the women priests are fairy tales, but those who believe that women were priests are saying no, these are women actually performing priestly duties.
Listen, the Vatican is a fairy tale.
But this is a way of bringing this forward to people to start getting the idea in the New World religion of more women performing some of these things. And then this was just because I've talked to you about this before, the weird things happening with New World religion in Latvia. Latvia. In a museum, there was a performance artist who supposedly sliced flesh from the bodies of two assistants without anesthesia, fried it in a pan, and fed it to them.
Get out of here.
Now, apparently the police are investigating this
controversial. They should.
But the officers cannot find a crime
Why?
to charge him with because they can't prove whether it was actual flesh or not, or if it was staged.
On video?
Well, not only that, but they could look at the people and see if anything was actually cut out of them,
Really?
right? So, but that's what they're saying. So, I think
Latvia.
again, it's cannibalism.
And that's why Latvia is not a major world power.
But this is again imprinting you with cannibalism. Now, this is a word I thought you should be familiar with, or you should know, because I didn't hear of it till I read
What's
this article. It's called phubbing.
Phubbing?
P-H-U-B.
I never heard
B-I-N-G. It's actually in the Oxford English Dictionary.
It is?
Yes. It's an interjoining of the words of phone and snubbing, called phubbing. It's defined as the practice of ignoring one's companion or companions in order to pay attention to one's phone or other mobile device.
Wait, let me. So, in other words, if you call me and I ignore your call,
No.
I'm phubbing you.
No, like if we're together, like right now we're doing the news, if you were playing on your phone,
Right.
then that would mean you'd be phubbing me.
Oh, so I'm ignoring you by working on my phone.
Oh, playing with your phone, whatever
How
you do
about
with the
how
phone.
about calling it rude?
Well, I think that's a good idea.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think that's
rude.
a good, better word.
Better word, and we wouldn't have to make up a new word.
Right.
We could just use a word that was already in existence. That works for me. And then, now this was, again, this one throws out every word that can possibly be thrown out at you in the most confusing way, but it was a big story, so I'm bringing this forward to you.
Go on.
This is about a gender fluid nuptials in New York City.
Oh, yeah.
There was a man named Nico Tortorella.
Tortorella.
Yeah, and he has a polyamorous partner named Bethany Myers.
Ooh, what's her phone number? I'm just curious.
Anyway, they're calling them an androgynous couple. So how can they be androgynous?
That's not androgynous.
No, androgynous is
It's called she's a hoe.
And yeah, androgynous means that you're both male and female in one body.
Right.
But now they're saying they're gender fluid, then they're polyamorous, and now they're androgynous.
No, she's just a freaking hoe.
And then they talk that they're twinning because of the attire that they wore for their wedding.
What, because they looked alike?
And that the woman dates mostly women.
Aha. So she's a lesbian hoe.
So anyway, but they're sexually fluid, gender fluid, androgynous,
Listen,
polyamorous,
that means,
twinning.
That means the gender fluid means they look at their gender in a bathtub covered in fluids.
Yeah.
They're just sexually open to everything.
It means
Period.
that they're messed up mentally and probably programmed to the hilt.
Seriously.
But like I said, I always tell you about this twinning thing that keeps coming up, which I think you're going to be talking about quite a bit when we go to September, right?
I have so much for September.
I know. So point being is all this stuff is programming you to be things you're not, and it's just amazing what people are doing. It just blows my mind away. So programming, deprogramming, all that stuff. You want to, Stewart says, great little coffee table book, True Reality of Sexuality, 13 Cubed. Okay, all of these things are going to help you get control of your own mind.
If you have one.
Basic deprogramming exercises in the Hyperspace Helper, a little bit more advanced exercises in Hyperspace Plus, Healing Archetypes and Symbol. This one is one of our best sellers. People love it. It's got a lot of...
yeah, people love that one.
Yeah, this is like one of our
in
best
fact,
sellers.
My
right
doctor
now.
in Ecuador just sent us a picture holding that book.
Yeah, I should put that on our Facebook pages. Okay, and you want to know what's really going on in the world and who's running the world, because a lot of people say, well, why doesn't Stuart tell people?
I do.
If you know of our work, you've read our stuff, be a member on our site. This one talks about who's running the world, talks about alien agenda, all that stuff, followed by true world history.
I wish I ran the world.
Remember what I tell you, 2 books. I'm not supposed to send more than 4 pounds in an envelope. So.
Really? That would be like a little less than 2 kilos.
Yeah. So, affirmations book is great. Keep on your bedside. Universal Law, Decoding Your Life. I've told you about the White Owl Legends, which is an archetypal story of creation. This is a fascinating read.
And if you look in the reflection, you can see my image in their eyes.
Yeah, because you put programming terms in there. And 2 of my children's books that just came out, the one on auras and the one on chakras, which are really, really nice. And the next one's on archetypes, which is ready to come out soon.
I really like the colors in that book.
It turned out beautiful.
See,
really
the character is based on me before I put my girdle on.
Yeah, that's it. So anyways, they're very nice. But one more, and then before the end of May, I'll have the last one out, which is about protection.
Hello, what about my medical book?
No, that one's being edited from what I understand.
It's been edited since I was born.
Well, so help.
I can't, that's not my job. That's what you were hired to do.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, seriously.
Well, you're going to have to talk.
Your review is coming up.
Yeah, you're going to have to talk to the person just hiring around here. So, anyway, so what have we got coming up?
Well, I have something embarrassing to say.
What?
I actually loved Houston, and we loved El Paso, and even though I say bad things about Texas, it's really not that bad.
What about Canada? People are always writing in on YouTube about why you say such bad things about Canada.
Why? Because freaking Canada will no longer let me in. That's why. They're freaking a-holes. They'll let Syrian Muslim terrorist refugees in, but not me. Frick them.
Yeah. And we're right across the border. We can't go.
Seriously, Canada sucks.
Yeah. So it has nothing to
and
do.
And even my friends in Canada say, and my relatives in Canada say, Canada freaking sucks.
Yeah. So it has nothing.
And your prime minister is 3 years old.
So it has nothing to do with you, the individual
and is
in
the son
Canada.
of Fidel Castro, no matter what he says.
And we have a lot of Canadian clients, and we do have people from Canada that come down here for seminars and workshops.
Right.
So
then they get interrogated at the border.
Yeah, but we are not allowed to go into Canada.
Yeah, so, no, you are, but I'm not. I used to go, but now they don't let me anymore.
Yes, exactly.
They
so
don't like
that's
me anymore.
the issue we have with Canada.
So they can kiss my butt.
So that's the Canada story. And then people are still asking us about Q. Remember, programming. That's what we told you. Programming. So if you want to ask us questions, please join our membership. It's less than $1 a day on our site, www.expansions.com. Join our site. And if you want to know where we're going to be, read our site because we have an events section there. Right? So we have...
I don't even know where I'm going to be till I read it.
Yeah. And then, of course, I have 1 seat open left for our Italian trip.
One?
Only one.
That'd be a good person that gets that
Yes.
one.
So we have really amazing people coming with
Someone
us.
who has presents for me.
And I think we have the live television show in Istanbul before we head to Italy.
Yeah, we do have it live at Istanbul.
Yeah. Are we doing any events in Istanbul?
Well, not that I can talk about publicly.
Yeah, well, so we might have something going on there. We're still working on that. Italy, then we have our September class, and our fall schedule we have not released yet. We're still putting that together. Okay?
I don't want to go anywhere anymore.
Like, comment, and subscribe, and please share our videos. Like, comment, and share our Facebook pages. Join our member website. We appreciate all your support of our work. That is what allows us to continue to do our research.
And I just want to say a special thank you to all the people in Massachusetts who were enabling me to do my television show with Laura Eisenhower, which was super amazing, fantastic. We were getting thousands and thousands of people asking us to do the second, which we will do in April. I appreciate all of the producers, the director, the crew, my co-host, and Laura Eisenhower. Thank you so much.
Do you know when that's going to be available?
Soon. I will. Yeah. It'll be posted. And, of course, I made that quick, unexpected trip in Atlanta, which actually I did like Atlanta.
We were there. We liked it.
And then Houston, we have no problem because I loves me some Houston.
Well, that's a big change for you.
Yes, I'm ashamed to say it, but I'm not ashamed because you know what? I love all the people, all my oil men friends in Houston. that were really nice to me and kind to me, and we will be going back there.
We will.
Mm-hmm.
And El Paso, when we were there, we loved that.
Yes, I love El Paso. Mm-hmm. I like Houston more.
Yeah, the food in El Paso was amazing.
Wait, the restaurants in Houston, holy, it makes Paris look ashamed.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so anyway, we always have lots of interesting things going on. So if you want to keep up with us on a daily basis, please join our website, because right now we are talking about choosing wholeness, and we are having fascinating conversations about water, believe it or not, and emotions.
Yeah, and maybe by September, I can release information I have about water and being able to clean it very quickly.
And we are talking about learning how to accept, not just create, but how to accept from the non-physical as well as the physical. So lots of fascinating information going on, and every month we go through a new topic or two, and it's really incredible what the people there accomplish. Oh, and I have one session left of my self-healing webinars. That's in April, and then we break for the season again.
Yeah.
So, with that said, we'll see you next time.
Yes, and next week is actually Easter. I'll be doing a podcast on Easter Day.
Why not?
Well, it might resurrect us.
Maybe.
Bye for now.
Bye.